Hi, I'm Linda Campbell. I am about to undertake something that is either going to be seen as incredibly courageous or incredibly stupid. I'm really hoping it's going to come across as courageous. I'd like to set up a little bit of context first. I'm a registered clinical hypnotherapist and also a hypnotherapy instructor. And lately, both in my professional world and in my personal world, I've seen some things that all have a common theme that have really been moving and touching to me. And that common theme is all about honesty. It's all about people being willing to let me into their internal world, to let me see their vulnerabilities, what's really going on inside them. And it's really inspired me to take this step. So, for example, I got to see a colleague of mine who was once a student do a wonderful presentation. It was wonderful because what happened was she discovered 5 minutes before her presentation that she had forgotten her show notes. And so she had to just go into it and be spontaneous. And she found herself partway through the presentation sharing a really personal story that she had not planned to share. And it was so meaningful to the people who attended. They were coming up to her afterwards with tears in their eyes, telling her how important it was for them to have heard that on that day. I also have a client of mine who's been struggling, and recently he gave me 2 of his journals to take home and read. And again, this is somebody who is willing to let me into his inner world, to let me know what he thinks when there's nobody else around to impress, to let me know his most shameful, embarrassing secrets. And I was so moved and so touched and so in awe of his courage when he gave me those books to read. I also recently ran a hypnotherapy class where during one of my sessions, or one of the sessions the students was running, the person receiving the hypnosis actually had a bit of a meltdown during the session because he became aware that he has a belief within him that's still active that he didn't realize was still around. And he shared with us this very touching story about his history and how it impacted on him and what he recognizes he still has to work through. And so this seems to be what I'm coming up against everywhere I turn. These people who are just willing to really reveal who they are, to really strip away that shiny facade of I'm perfect and everything's great with me, and actually share their struggles, their insecurities, their fears, and be willing to do this in a way that is so honest. I think that there's a real need for that kind of honesty, for that kind of transparency, which is one of the reasons why I named my business Your Authentic Self. And so here's what I've decided to do. I too have something that I've been struggling with. I've been struggling with the issue of weight. I mean, I call it weight, but I really think it's more than that. When clients come to see me, they often say things like, if I only weighed a certain amount, or if I were a size 2 or whatever, then I would really love myself. Then I would really be happy. And I tend to say to them, I think it works the other way around. That when you really love yourself, when you really accept yourself, then you treat yourself better and the weight starts to come off. And so I call this a weight issue. But really, I'm aware, being a hypnotherapist and a fairly self-aware person, that this probably has a lot more to do with things other than just what I'm eating or how frequently I'm exercising. So I approached my partner, Arne Pederson, who's also a registered hypnotherapist, and I said to him, I want to take this public. I actually want to do a weekly hypnosis session with him and follow up with a weekly video diary about my progress. And when I say progress, it's not just what I'm eating and how often I'm exercising and that the weight's coming off, but what's come up for me. What are the belief systems that I'm still grappling with on some deeper level? What are the experiences that are still impacting on me? What are my deeper subconscious reasons for hanging on to weight? I want to work through those. And when he asked me, why do you want to do this publicly? There were a few different responses that came to mind. And any one of them is true, but one of them is really the truth. One of the responses that came to mind was, I think it would hold me accountable. If I know I have to come online every week and report how I'm doing, then maybe I'm going to be thinking about that when I'm making choices the rest of the week. And yeah, that's true. Another reason that came to mind is it would be good for people to see how hypnosis really works. People come in with so many misconceptions, so many ideas about hypnosis that are absolutely false. It would be wonderful for them to get a sense of what's actually involved, and that would be part of what I share as I go through this process myself. So that's true as well. I also thought of the idea that, having these video blogs on my website, and he'll also have them on his website, might be a way of attracting people to our websites. And that's true too, but it's not really the true capital T reason. The real truth is I can't not do this. I feel like my soul is really guiding me in this direction. And the reason is that, again, I think there's a lot of posturing that goes on with people. I think that we put on this shiny veneer of everything's good with me. We're afraid to admit what we're afraid of. We're afraid to admit our insecurities and our fears and our most deeply guarded secrets. We don't want to talk about the things that we're shameful about. And I truly believe that when we put those things out in the light, they can no longer exist. And so that's what I'm willing to do. I have no idea what this process is going to involve. Next week, Arne and I are going to meet for our interview, just like I would with a client. And he's going to ask me questions about what it is exactly I want to work on. And then we'll set up our first hypnosis session. And again, we'll do a hypnosis session once a week. Every Wednesday, I'm going to show up online. I'm going to do a video diary and explain what's been coming up for me, how I'm doing. And again, I have no idea where I'm going to be with that. I may need to be going into some childhood stuff. I may need to be going into some past trauma. I may need to be going into relationship stuff that's come up for me in the past. I may need to be going into some of my own shameful secrets and history. But I think that this is really important for me to do. I think it's really important that as a whole, we start being real with one another. We start sharing who we really are. That we start creating an environment where it's safe and supportive for people to come ahead and express their vulnerabilities. And so this is what I'm going to be doing. If you're interested in following my process here, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get the videos weekly. The videos will also show up on my website, which is yourauthenticself.ca, as well as my partner's website, which is awarenessandhealth.com. And they'll also show up on my Facebook page, so you can look for Your Authentic Self on Facebook. If you know somebody who is struggling with weight, I'd really love if you would pass this on to them, because I know that there are many, many, many people out there who are going to be able to relate to the process that I'm going through and the things that I've been through that have gotten me to this point. So next week, I'm going to make a big confession, and I'm saying it now because if I don't say it, I might give myself the option to opt out. Next week, I am going to share what my current weight actually is. There's a part of me that's going, oh my God, I've got to diet, in the next week to make sure that that number's down. But I really want to be clear that I'm intending to take this weight off without any dieting. I personally believe that dieting is what's responsible for people having bad self-image and bad self-esteem and weight problems, to be quite honest. And so you're not going to see me go through a diet. You're going to see me go through the real work of examining my internal structures that have got me to where I am and unraveling those structures so that I can truly love myself. Because that's honestly what it's all about. Again, I call it a weight problem. But I need to work through the things that have kept me from being totally accepting and embracing of who I am. And so, again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Send this video to people that you know are struggling with a similar issue. And next week, tune in again for my big confession. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.